welcome to CosmoMuse Tarot and another sort of yes/no insight question for you guys. So you're going to be bringing your own questions to this, and we're going to look at a yes, no, or maybe. And I do want to, I think that when I first started doing this reading, I did a little bit of a better job of articulating the types of questions you should bring here. And I've just noticed a few comments in my comment section that are kind of re-jogging in me that I maybe need to reiterate this at the start of each of these readings, that with your yes/no questions, if this is something that is now out of your hands, say you've interviewed for a job and you have there's none of the control is in your hands anymore around this question. It's either going to be a yes or a no, and it's coming soon. Flip a coin for that. That's not what these yes nos are for. Bring yes nos to this reading that you still have the ability to bring some energy and impact to this question. So I hope that clarifies the kinds of yes nos that you should be bringing here. If it says, just to reiterate, if it's out of your control, there's nothing you can do. This isn't for those questions. Flip a coin and see what that says. That being said, also, as I say in every intro to this weekly reading, that to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page in how we're interpreting things, make sure that you phrase your question so that if you were to get a yes, that would feel positive to you. That's how I'm going to be reading the energy, and so that's how you should be phrasing your question. Okay, let's dive in. We have 4 piles today, and I am using some little treasures I've taken from one of my favorite coastal areas. They're all from the same day, the same beach, the same cosmic energy when I picked them up, but just slightly different variations. So we've got the still connected shell. We have a smaller shell for pile 2. So this was pile 1. Pile 2 is just a single smaller shell, 1/2. An ocean stone. I love the curves in this. You just kind of can feel that water energy there. And then a larger shell that's, just the 1/2. Okay, so for those of you that like the breathing exercise that I do to help you tap into intuition, higher self, and sort of embodiment, we will do that now. If you have your own process, you can pause here, and timestamps are in the descriptions. Okay, so place your feet firmly on the ground. Feel that stability underneath you. Just feel held by that for a second. And now take a deep breath into that feeling, sort of weight that breath into your body to ground your body in, ground into your body. And hold that for a minute. And release. Exhale. Now we're going to take another deep inhale, and this time you're going to suck the air up, up, up into the space between your brows. Hold. Suck in a little more to add pressure there. And then out loud, this time you're going to exhale, opening up your crown chakra. Okay, if you need a minute to fill into the piles and ask which one has your aligned message or messages, if you're bringing more than one question, you can pause here, and then I will see you in your reading starting with pile 1. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your yes, no, maybe Friday insight. Before we dive into your cards, I just wanted to spend a minute on an intuitive hit I got just from feeling into your pile, your object, and as I was drawing your cards, is I just got a lot of energy from your shell, actually, more than anything else that came through. And it was feeling like the fact that this shell is still kind of intact in a way where the two halves haven't broken from each other yet. There's something about this that feels like something has newly opened in you. And, sometimes when something new comes out, it sort of like comes out with force and passion. And sometimes when something newly comes out, it's still a little bit like shy and tender and gentle. And that was sort of what I was feeling here, that something either around your general energy or something around this question feels like it's just barely coming out of its shell, and it's still like a little bit, there's something timid going on here. Not in a bad way, but just sort of like getting a lay of the land, trying to really take in the environment to find your stability and security in a certain circumstance maybe that's new. So there might be something like that either around you or around this question. Okay, we are going to look at this top row of tarot cards to tease out the actual yes, no, maybe. We have 9 of Cups, which is a beautiful wish fulfillment card. Page of Cups, that's that newness. That page is a kind of beginner energy. And this particular page, I do have to say, looks a little bit reserved. Some pages come out with, just that wild childlikeness, and this one is a very kind of observant, youthful energy, young energy. Yeah, taking something in, observing. Okay. And then we have the World. Beautiful. So this absolutely feels like a yes, but I'm just getting that like take your time to get whatever lay of the land you need around this question. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of observation that you're needing to do in order to like orient yourself around this question and to find sort of like your right direction, your right click in with something. And yeah, I just get the sense that there's no rush here. Take your time. But when you do feel that moment of like clicking in, that security kind of funneling into you of like, because I do still get this timid thing that you may get that click in moment, the sort of directional and that yes kind of coming in for you, and still being a little bit shy about kind of embodying something about that and walking forward with something about that. And so there is encouragement coming through to say, when you feel that click in, when you feel like you have the lay of the land around this question, or you've taken in the observations you need to take in to just nudge yourself to kind of step forward. There's like something you're going to need to step forward toward and find a little bit more. It's sort of like you need to move from this feeling of kind of taking it in, feeling a little reserved, to this woman here of just like really embodying something and feeling confident about it. And to jump, it is interesting. To jump from this to this is a pretty massive step. It's like you're skipping over the knight and the king and the queen and going straight to like emperor type of major arcana. So I do wonder that whatever this question centers around, if there's like a natural inclination, something natural about your question that's like aligned, and so it's just like easier to get from a trailhead to a summit. Like it's pretty straightforward for some reason, where you go from beginner to master like immediately. And I think it's either because like you already have, like there's already some foundation. It's just not, you know, an example would be like, say you really went through schooling and built a career in something specific, we'll say in chemistry, and suddenly you have this desire to be an author about maybe something in that field. So the author part is new, and you're kind of observing like, what do I need to do? But what you're going to be authoring in some sort of like nonfiction book is about things you already know. So it's sort of like, that's what I'm feeling. It's like you're already bringing some kind of expertise, but just into like a really different area where you feel like a beginner in a sense. And it's saying, yeah, like take your time to orient, you know, and that was a metaphor, so it doesn't have to be around career or, you know, like in the way I said, but there's something where you have a foundation, something about this question has a foundation, and it's sort of like redirecting, and some energy just needs to be reserved as the lay of the land is taken in. But it's like once you feel that directional, it's like move, because you're gonna really step into some authority here very quickly. Like things are gonna take very quickly. Yeah, let's get some astrology here around this. Yeah, the alignment is there. This, whatever you're asking about, is very aligned. It is going to activate. You are going to feel the click in. Yeah, it's going to bring balance and harmony. Could bring, I'm not sure why this isn't feeling really literal to me, the relationship aspect, which is the key word here of the 7th house. It feels more like balance, finding that right balance for yourself. Because something's so aligned, like the balance, the harmonious tone of this is correct. And then, oops. Opposition, confrontation. You may have some inner tensions. This feels like this particular card in opposition, it feels like a mirroring rather than like two competitors. It feels like a mirroring where there's a tension within you, a push and pull within you about something, which could be bringing external confrontations too, or hitting your head against walls or something. But as soon as you can kind of relax into like recognizing that there's something right about your question, I think that tension will ease. Yeah. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. You've got core. Yeah, again, this is like solar energy, that core. It's like there's something just very aligned, and it's either already starting your question, something about your question is already starting to light you up, or it's going to once you can let go of some tension, recognize you've taken in any observations you need to, and once you kind of like step into this, it's like your core will click in as well. And then message in a bottle. Yeah, and that could be like, you know, looking at this page energy, it's sort of like, I do feel like she's waiting for something, like there's something you're waiting for, information, permission, something that you're waiting for, something that will like help this all click in. And this is saying it's coming, that message in a bottle, that piece of information or that correct alignment. There's some kind of message that's on its way to you. I think it's taken its time getting to you, being a message that's come in a bottle through the sea. It's been, I feel like maybe a long wait to get whatever message you're waiting for, or whatever thing that is that will help this feel like it's clicking in, that you have some kind of direction. Okay, and then you guys ended up with 3 tea leaves, and I just decided to take them all. Okay, so it's elephant. A long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser at the end. I feel like you're well into this journey. This question, I think, pertains to something you've already done a lot of journeying around, and this world is kind of that wiser at the end point, and it's saying like keep on keeping on, you're getting there. Dark man, dealings or relationship with a man with dark complexion or hair, so maybe that's the person bringing the message. This could be you, it could be someone you know that's been supportive in general, whatever that needs to mean to you. And grasshopper, situation in the balance that requires careful handling. And we talked about the balance, so it's like, yeah, whatever is coming in, it's something, and I get why that page energy, like that new energy being felt here, is being a little bit reserved and observational. It's like, yeah, something is needing balance before you step into it. And so it's just like confirming that it's okay to be in that energy that's required. So don't feel like you're stuck or stagnant or something. It's like that's what you're needing to do. So just trust that. Okay, so yeah, just to reiterate, a big yes, there is a message coming. But an urge that once you feel something click in, that you really need to take some steps forward and have that kind of step out of that timidness towards really embodying and emanating something and just stepping into it. Okay, because it is very aligned. It's very aligned for you and positive for you. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate a thumbs up, comments, likes, whatever it is, subscriptions, shares, and yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in future readings. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your yes, no, maybe reading and weekly Friday insight. You guys chose this smaller shell, and just tapping into the energy of this pile. There was something, whether it's around your general energy or something about this question. Is there something, I was just getting the vibe of like something a little bit illusionary right now, hard to grasp, like a little bit ethereal, mystical, hard to grasp here, but very magical at the same time. Okay, so we are going to look at this top row of cards to get your yes, no, maybe through tarot. So we've got 10 of Wands. It's a big card to get. Knight of Crystals. And 6 of Cups. Interesting. There is a maybe here, but what's coming through in the reading are like instructions on how to get your yes. Because there is a lot of pressure on this question. And so it's saying like you can either continue on in the same way you've been continuing with this question, and you may kind of like crumble under that pressure, or like give up or something like that. But it's saying that there is purpose in this question, and to find sort of that strength and motivation to carry on, to kind of get to your finish line here, because this does have the energy of like trying to get to a finish line, but sort of like is, you know, feeling that illusory element around that of like, I feel like I've been going forever and I'm just realizing like, is there just not a finish line for this? Is there not going to be a resolution to this? Do I need to just give up because all it seems to do is just add pressure here? And what I'm feeling is it's like you need to, if you want to find that finish line, you can do that, but it's sort of like you have to you need to kind of slow down for a minute to check your perception of like how you're doing things or why you're doing something related to this question. And it's like, I think at some point you're just have turned into like gotten into some sort of rhythm with this question. I hope I'm articulating this well. I don't feel like it's coming out the way it is in like the energy's coming to me. Hold on, let me try and find my words for a second. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's kind of that thing once you get into, I'm just going to use a metaphor that doesn't have to relate to your actual question, but it's like an energy. So it's like you end up getting a job or something that you feel really called to, and there's a certain status or achievement level you're trying to get to within that, so you take on a lot. And it just like puts you into this hamster wheel of like suddenly you just like have these processes that you're kind of stuck in and having to do over and over and over again. That gets like a little bit monotonous, and you see progress, but it's almost like you just keep adding pressure and weight and you don't feel like you're moving forward though. So it doesn't have to relate to work. That's just sort of the metaphor, like a metaphor that I could find. And it's sort of like, it's almost like something has to, there isn't a give up aspect being asked of you, but there's something that's saying like, can you take some things off of your plate? This night energy, it's interesting because night energies often come through as like impetuous, and they would be sort of the ones that would sort of take on, think that they have the energy and fortitude to take more on and run with it. But this Knight of Crystals or like Knight of Earths is saying like, no, it's time to weed out some things actually. There is a lot of purpose, there's a lot of beauty to what is being done around this question or what your question revolves around, but there's also some weeds in it that you need to kind of pick out and simplify and identify the thing or the couple of things within this question that are really central, that are really what you care about and you feel are important to you. And it's like you need to get back into that focus and kind of like quiet down all the things around some sort of central aspect of this question. Weed out anything that's distracting you from keeping your eye on the ball, on the thing. So it's like, what can you take off of your plate so that you can have that stillness and calmness to realize that there is a finish line in sight. It's almost like a mirage. The way you're going right now, kind of spinning something about this question sort of overactive, spinning, taking on too much. It's like creating this illusion that that castle, that finish line isn't there. But when you can slow down, weed out the things that you can weed out, and find a way to get more focused on a central focus, and that central focus being something that's lit you up always, like from your essence self, from childhood, there was something there. Like forever, there was something there. It's like you need to get back to that and that feeling, and get still and quiet and meditative on this thing and weed things out, and suddenly you will see that finish line, and you will see the path to the finish line. And it's just saying that making that illusory aspect of that, is there a finish line there? Something about your innate self, something you were born with, something you can remember from childhood being passionate about around this question, that will help you to see that path forward and to understand what the focal point is and what's just peripheral and can be let go of. So that's why there's work to be done to be able to like move from a finish line feeling illusory and obscure to helping it to appear, figuring out, that focus and that central thing that really lights you up, that makes you feel like it's home in you, and that will help that finish line appear and the path to it. Okay, let's look at the astrology here. Descendant, invitation. This could have something to do with relationships for some of you. We've got change and rebirth. Wow, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be scared to shake certain things up. When I was talking about weeding out certain things, if that comes about through shaking things up, or if you feel like suddenly something comes in and shakes things up, that's coming in, or that kind of energy may be what's actually needed for you to recognize that central thing. And then everything will transform for you. Everything will feel much more empowered, much more focused, much more strategic, and in control of the situation, and sort of like a rebirth of like really getting back to the core here. Yeah, I hope that makes sense for you guys. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards. Sadhasana. Yeah, getting back to what lights you up in your gut, in what moves you. Revisit your inner child and connect to what brings you joy. There's something there. Yeah, get back into your body, get back into kind of moving, remembering childhood, remembering some way of being as a child that was a little bit more fluid and joyful. There's something there that's going to help you find that focal thing that, yeah. Okay. You can't make this up. Never ending story. This totally relates to what I was feeling before of like, is this just going on and on and on? Is there a finish line? I don't understand what's going on. There's like this illusion here, and it just feels like it's this never ending hamster wheel. And I've lost sight of that thing that I'm trying to move towards, or how to get there. There's no finish line. It's just saying that, yeah, it's like you need to shake something up in order to get back to that core thing and feel moved towards it, and remember something inherent in you, and that feeling of the never-ending story will go away. You'll see that finish line, and you'll see the path to that. Hills, obstacles to overcome. Yeah. And this feels so much like that Six of Cups card, even though it's sun versus moon, but it's like that clarity rising. Hand, in need of help, assistance, and guidance. Yeah, so if there's something you can do, if you need to talk to a friend, a counselor, if you need help from someone to take some things off of your plate in order to have more space and stillness in your life to kind of see how something is, with this Uranus coming through, if there is a shakeup that comes in, whether you initiate that or it just comes naturally, that could create some scenarios where you need to ask for some assistance or guidance. And just I think this is also just saying that assistance and guidance you will need is there. You just have to reach out to it and it will be available to you. Yeah, so a maybe here, but a definite path to a yes is what was given. But there are steps you would have to take to get your yes. Yeah, so I hope this resonated for you guys. If so, I always appreciate the things like, share, subscribe, etc. And yeah, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, and I will see you in future readings. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your yes, no, maybe Friday Insight. And you know, usually I do this thing where I talk to you guys about sort of like any intuitive hits that came through focusing on, you know, your object that you chose. For you guys, it's this stone. And just the feelings coming through as I'm drawing your cards. And I typically use that just as like a general intuitive hit. And I think maybe one other time in the history of doing this style of reading have I had like this thing come through where it's like I don't even need to look at your cards. I already know what that yes, no, maybe is. And it was just like just immediate message that came through of like right energy is like the message I got. Like the energy is right. Everything is right about this. So it's like a very clear yes for you guys. So I'm just going to use the cards as any insight into maybe why that yes is, or context around the yes. So that's how I'm going to be interpreting the cards this time, because I just got this like beauty, flow, right energy, harmony. That's just like the energy. It was like so clear and so immediate and so strong that I couldn't really ignore that. Yeah, so let's look at your cards and just get context around why this is yes. Why is this so clear? Yeah, there's something here. It's like you are listening to your heart. You're listening to your senses in terms of what gives you pleasure, what you can bring fertility to. There's something around this question that is very fertile for you and very connected to what you are particularly able to bring flourishing to and really give care and nurturance to. It's possible that you've walked away from certain things or are still walking away from certain things. And yeah, I mean, I would just say like really drop into that Empress energy that in this particular card, it's like listening to your heart and then being really aware of the subtle, beautiful magic around you through that. And it will become easier and easier. And I already feel this Eight of Cups figure as like very casually and softly and easily walking away from whatever it is that this is walking away from. So there may just be some sort of naturally progressed endings coming in your life right now that feel just like they've, you know, to you like, yeah, this has run its course. I feel okay about walking away. I'm going to admire what I'm walking away from, but it feels right. And just feel into this Empress energy of whatever your question pertains to, of feeling like just in right energy. And then 10 of Cups, which is to me one of the most beautiful cards in the deck. This could be a culmination. This could again be referencing a culmination of something and just feeling right about that, or it could be referencing the right decision to walk away. You know, so I'm kind of seeing two scenarios popping up, and I think it just depends on each person. It's sort of like it's either right to be, your question was either about, should I walk away from something? And it's like, yeah, you're being drawn other places. There's new fertility coming through you. Or it could be about, is this new thing or this other, you know, is something good for me, or should I be walking towards something, or whatever it is, not necessarily about an ending, but that rightness about what you're asking about may have to do with the fact that you've had to leave other things, or some other things have run their course, which is contributing to the rightness of what is now. Yeah, so this 10 of Cups is either referencing the culmination of something, or it's referencing just being, again, in that really aligned, right, harmonious, trusting flow of energy. Okay, let's look at your astrology, solar calm, and clarify. Yeah, I just do. I feel like clarity coming through, alignment coming through, just a calm knowing about your question, and clarity there. Partnership, for some of you, it could have to do with partnerships. For others, it could be stepping into kind of some, you know, I think of Juno or Hera in Greek. You know, even though her association in terms of mythology is like Zeus's wife, she has a lot of other powers, and I'm just feeling like it's more than that here, more than, like, there could be a partnering aspect, there could be a relationship aspect, but it's also like stepping into your kind of queenly role in things, like really stepping into your empowerment. In just a beautiful way. And then 4th house home. Yeah, I don't know. For a lot of you, it really could be just like being with the right person in the right place, right people in the right place. It could be talking about soul tribe, about your personal family, about your home scenario. There's just something right and beautiful and harmonious unfolding there. And like a calmness and a thriving and a fertility coming through here. So really gorgeous. Ajna. So this is staying to trust those inner knowings. Trust the things you know within that you've felt in relation to this question. Stay with those knowings like they're important. Imagine. So part of this is also maybe just like really tapping into what could be like manifesting power, laying seeds, imagining what you want, and trusting the inner knowing of where those things are coming from and why they feel so aligned for you. Just trust what your imagination conjures right now. I think it's all very in line. Then we've got Torch, spiritual development, enlightenment, awareness, and understanding. Yeah, I mean, I think that enlightenment, that awareness, I think that's just like really potent for you right now. It's like you're really tapped into aligning with yourself, aligning with others, aligning with your home, with partners, with relationships, with your role, with whatever it is this question relates to, it's like you're in alignment and there's just awareness coming through that. That's just lighting the way in like a very peaceful, calm, sort of fertile way. Woman, dealings or relationship with a woman. And I feel for a lot of you, this might just be you. I feel like this is that Empress energy. Like this just is like what's coming through. If you don't relate to that, maybe there's someone in your life that has kind of Empressy energy that you can kind of model after, or that could give you some advice or be support in some way. Or falling on that Imagine card, it's like imagine yourself as the Empress. What does that look like and feel like to you in particular? What do you look and feel like as an Empress archetype? And imagine that and it will be, kind of thing. Okay, yeah, that was a quick reading, but it just, from the very start, it just like came out really, really strong and clear for me. So, anyway, I hope this resonated. If so, all the little things like share, subscribe, and I hope to see you in future readings. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your Friday Insight with yes, no, maybe questions. So, as usual, I wanted to touch on some intuitive insights that came through for me just in tapping into this group, into your object and the energy as I was working with the cards. There was something pretty clear that came through, and I'm going to refrain from giving it a yes, no, maybe, even though I have somewhat of a sense about it. But we'll look at the cards for that. But there was an energy that pretty quickly and clearly came through about that. It was like that phrase came into my mind of like making a mountain out of a molehill, like it's like there's some mental trappings potentially around your question. Some assumptions maybe being made where your mind is just kind of spinning and tapping into narratives that aren't necessarily there even. And sort of like a message I was really getting from Spirit, and this isn't a lecture, it's just like I felt just like this really loving energy wanting to come in and just like hold you and be like, it's okay, this thing of like, if you, and like give this loving advice is what it felt like. If you let your mind run wild and have certain assumptions, even if those are false and they don't come true and they don't negatively impact you because they're just assumptions that were not accurate, you are creating a shell still for things to fill into that from other places that will create sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, even if it comes, through different avenues. It's like, don't create that shell of assumptions, because even if those assumptions are wrong, you've created a space for that energy to enter in some other fashion. So it is sort of telling you to kind of reel back on any, inner dialogues, inner narratives around your question, and really just look at the facts. What do you actually know for fact here? So that you can shrink the shell here, because any concerns that surround this question are not necessarily there in the way your mind is spinning it. Yeah, so it's time to kind of look at the actual facts to shrink that shell, so that other things can't fill that up that are drawn to the assumptions you're making or that are being made, or any concerns that are being held. It's time to yeah, just weed out any concerns you have and just like really look at the facts here. Okay, let's look at your tarot cards, this top row, to get an actual yes, no, maybe though. Yeah, it's like really the Hierophant is, really looking at things clearly, precisely, accurately. Transformation, it's like there's things you need to let go about this. I'm also feeling that some of this mental energy, the narratives, the assumptions that I have this feeling are coming through aren't about, they're a little bit more about a general energy maybe you're feeling around your life, like things are in transition. And you may be projecting aspects of that shake up and that transition onto something that feels like it would give you some kind of control or stability or comfort. And this is just saying like, no, your life actually is in transition right now, and you just need to let go into that. And let what comes come, let what goes go, let what comes come, let what goes go. It's not so much about this question, it's much deeper. It's about letting go of a chapter of life. It's much bigger. Whatever's going on here in terms of your mind spinning out, or assumptions or anxiety or narratives being made, it's much more about a bigger chapter of your life that's coming to an end, and not so much specifically about what you are asking about. I hope that makes sense. But it's saying that there is some kind of stable force in your life, partially through just looking at what the facts are will bring you stability, but there are also either support systems or a very specific support person in your life that feels steady and anchoring to you. And to lean into that can be a rock for you, whether it's like really collecting the hard facts or leaning on someone that feels like a rock to you right now, that has like advice and wise counsel. If it is something like like for some of you, this could be kind of calling in a correct counselor or therapist for you. Not saying that you need it for this question, just saying that may naturally come in, and if that feels stable, it's a good one. Like, yeah. But there is some rock for you around you to lean on while this bigger. So I do just want to say I feel like it's a no here, but it's not as personal as some of you might think it is. The no is just much bigger, that like you are coming into just like a big shakeup in your life. And so just like a lot of things are transitioning and changing, and a lot of foundations shifting, and a lot of deep inner work and healing being done. And so it's just like there's a much bigger picture coming through here, and it's like don't take any particular question, any particular thing personally right now, if that fits for you. It's just much bigger. There's just like a much bigger thing happening. But it does feel like a no, and it's just because you're in a transition, yeah. Which usually is a leveling up. It's a moving to a new chapter. It's just coming to the end of one chapter is always a little bit of a little chaotic, to be honest, a little uncertain, a little, just nebulous feeling. But lean into that, like I said, whatever is wanting to go, just let it go. I'm not saying you have to just let things go just because, but if there's this thing of like, it feels like this thing is just trying to go from me, let it go. And whatever's trying to come, let that come. That's a new organizing force. Not to say you can't have boundaries if something doesn't feel right to you. You can have boundaries to that. But if something's coming in, notice that feels interesting or brings new impulse or passion, like let those things in. Okay, so we've got Taurus with cultivate, semi-square, square, quincunx with tension, and Saturn with structure. So whatever you're asking about, I feel like may have to do with your values. So it could be with like finding pleasure in life, with your income, with property, with possessions. There's something, it feels Tauresian to me in nature, but there's just like, and you're feeling, these tensions with it. And it's just saying the structure is decomposing to rebuild. So just hang in there. With Saturn, the scythe, it's really that bottom, if you were to turn it upright, it's really kind of a scythe. It's like, there's just things that are needing to be kind of cut from your life at the moment in order to build anew. And you will find whatever this Taurus thing relates to for you and how it relates to your question, you will find new values, you will find new worth, you will find new voice, you will find new income, you will find new whatever it is once you get into the rebuilding phase. But you have to allow that ending phase to cycle out. It has to have room and space to do so. And it's just like surrender into it, I feel like. Okay, let's look at your oracle cards, Vishuddha, some kind of truth. If there's certain things you need to say to kind of clarify the concrete aspects of what you're asking about, it's so saying you should go ahead and do that to get the clarity you need or to express something you need. And then to the sea, which that's a transition. That's moving from one shore to another. So you're in transition. You may feel a little lost right now. It's okay. That's part of transitions. You will land on a new shore eventually, but you have to allow this transitional time you have to surrender to it. And by doing that, that will pick up the wind in the sails to get you to the shore faster. Okay, last cards. Increase your efforts if you want to achieve your goals with the boot. And to me, that's just about, saying the things you need to say, expressing anything that needs to be expressed, clarifying truths, and even efforts in surrendering. And then throne. Position of authority, and that I think is, to me, a hint, a whisper to you, to give you encouragement that that's what awaits on the next shore. So you need to do what needs to be done to close out whatever is coming to a close here, to let that transition run its course instead of fighting it, because it will allow you to get to a new shore where more authority and position are in store for you. All right. I love getting that little whisper at the end there, a little encouragement from Spirit for you guys. So if this resonated, I always appreciate the little things, like, subscribe, share, and definitely little comments that are kind or thoughtful are always something I'm grateful for as well. All right, I'll see you guys in future readings.